This is the easier-to-read version of 1984 by George Orwell, retold and narrated by Sarah Simpson. Part 3, Chapter 4. Winston was gaining weight and getting stronger. His new cell was more comfortable than the ones he had been in before. He had a pillow and a blanket. He was able to take a bath, and he even got warm water to clean himself with every few days. He got clean clothes, and they pulled out the last of his few teeth so he could wear dentures. The food was better, and there was more food to eat. Every 3 days, he even had meat. Once they gave him a packet of cigarettes. They wouldn't let him have matches, but the guard would light his cigarette for him. At first, the cigarettes made him feel sick, but he stuck with it until he got used to smoking again. Winston was allowed to sleep as much as he wanted now. There was still a bright light on all the time, but he was used to it. Winston slept a lot, and when he slept, he had nice dreams. He dreamed about going to the Golden Country with Julia. When he was awake, he spent most of his time remembering the details of his nice dreams. He never got bored. He would have had to think to be bored. Winston didn't think anymore. He was content to be clean and fed and free from pain. After a while, Winston slept less and was awake more. He had gained weight, but his body was still weak. He started to exercise by walking back and forth in his cell. Eventually, he was able to walk 3 kilometers based on his calculations. The first time he tried to do a push-up, he couldn't even lift himself a centimeter off the ground, but after a while, he was able to work up to doing 6 push-ups. Winston's mind slowly began to work better. Without starvation and torture, he was able to think again. Winston worked hard at changing his thoughts so he could become the perfect party member. Everyone agreed that Winston had gotten past the most difficult stage of his re-education and was doing much better now. He was getting better at doublethink every day. Whenever he had a bad thought against Big Brother, he pushed himself to stop thinking it right away. Winston accepted that the party knew everything he had ever said or done, as well as everything he had ever thought or ever would think. They let Winston have a pencil and paper. He used it to work on his doublethink. He wrote, "Freedom is slavery. 2 and 2 make 5. The earth is flat. We have always been at war with East Asia. I never saw the photo of Aronson, Rutherford, and Jones." He accepted everything the party told him. He accepted every time the truth changed. Now that he had given up, it was easy to believe. It was a relief to no longer have to think for himself. The laws of nature didn't exist. The only truth was the truth the party told him. Sometimes he still found himself believing in facts, but he tried to stop those thoughts. Still, a little part of him rebelled against all of it, no matter how hard he tried to believe. He was given injections of drugs constantly. The drugs made him warm and happy. It was easy to daydream when he took them. He was daydreaming about Julia and the Golden Country one day. It felt so real. He could imagine every detail: the warm sun on his face, the soft grass, Julia's laughter. Suddenly Winston shouted, "Julia, Julia, my love!" As soon as he said it, he knew there would be trouble. It was proof that there was still a tiny piece of the old Winston inside him. It was proof that he hadn't fully given himself to Big Brother, and he would be punished for it. They might start his torture all over again. The thought of going through all of it again made him feel hopeless. It also made him feel angry. He was angry at O'Brien. He was angry at the party. He was angry at Big Brother. Right then, Winston knew that he would never truly love Big Brother. There would always be a little hard ball of hate inside him for the party. He would need to hide that hate. It was the last piece of his true self. Winston wondered when they would shoot him. He knew there wouldn't be much warning. They didn't want people to know when they would be shot. It was better to keep them constantly guessing. One day, they took you out of your cell into the hallway just like usual, then they shot you in the back of the head. Still, Winston thought, in the few seconds before they shot you, you could probably sense what was about to happen. An idea occurred to him. What if, in that few seconds, he could think about his hatred for Big Brother right before the bullet shot into his brain? In that few seconds, Winston could rebel against the party. Even though no one else would ever know what he had done, Winston would know he had died being his true self. He would die hating Big Brother. That was freedom. Winston heard the familiar stomping of boots in the hall outside his cell. He was not surprised when O'Brien opened the door. "Get up. Come with me," O'Brien said, grabbing Winston's shoulders and looking into his eyes. "You were thinking about lying to me. Don't deny it. You know I can tell when you lie. You are getting better. Your thinking has improved. However, your emotions are still out of control. How do you really feel about Big Brother? Be honest." "I hate him," Winston said. "Good," O'Brien said. "You're being honest. That means you're ready for the final step. You have to love Big Brother. It isn't enough to be afraid of him. It isn't enough to obey him. You need to love him." O'Brien pushed Winston towards the door. "It's time for room 101.